Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I have a review of The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adieh. I completely despise this book. This book is inspired by The 1001 Nights, and Shazi's best friend was one of the wives that has been murdered by the king, and he murders his new bride every dawn. And she goes and she tells him a story to avoid being killed, and she lives to the next night. And this continues on for a while. She hates him and she keeps planning on murdering him, and it hasn't happened yet. Then we're left with the fact that she actually seems to be falling in love with this man who's killed her best friend and killed loads of different women. This book is awful. It is filled with purple prose. Adieh uses too many words to describe something, like, so just to give a description of early purple prose was in this book. It does continue through, but as the two young women eased the weighty garment onto her glittering shoulders, Shahzad studied the finished product in the mirror before her. Now then we have midnight tresses gleaming like polished obsidian, hazel eyes edged in alternating strokes of black coal and liquid gold, and it goes on. You have to be descriptive within your novels, but there's no point being descriptive for the sake of it, because nothing actually happens within this book. I'm pretty sure this was just one standalone novel, and the publishers were like, can you turn it into a duology? So she did, because nothing happens. She spends 300 pages just trying on new dresses and walking around a palace, and then suddenly people are coming and battling, and that just seems to come out of nowhere. You need to build up to these things, and there is no build up. It's just she's wondering, and then suddenly people are there and they're like, yeah, we've come to save you from someone you don't really want saving from. And no, there isn't any real conflict. Everything feels jokey, and it all felt like a first draft. Like, Adieh didn't really know who these characters were yet, and she had a grasp of the storyline, but she hadn't really nailed it down, and she didn't need as many characters as she did, and it became very saturated with too many characters and little plot. And it's not that I don't like character-driven stories, but there was no drive behind these characters. Shazi, without wanting to kill Khalid, is nobody. None of these characters had any characterisation, they had no motivation. It just felt like Adieh had decided to add this whole harkening back to the 1001 Nights to try and hide the fact that she didn't actually have any story here. If we were to talk about these characters being characters, then they'd be reprehensible characters, and I just wish that the story had been worked on more. It needed a better editor, it needed tightening up, and it needed cutting down. And my mother used to read the Mills and Boon romances. I think they're published as Harlequin in the US, and it could have just been one of those, like the Sheikh's Captive Bride or something like that. And if she'd just cut this, what's going to end up being about 600 pages down into a 300-page book, I'm sure it would have worked perfectly. But over two books of nearly 400 pages each, it doesn't work. And I'm reading the sequel and I'm finding it equally as bad, but I just want to get this story finished and see whether it ever improves. Have you read this book? If you have, tell me your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.